There's this guy who goes by Mang0 or C9 Mang0. I never heard of him before until recently, but apparently he's a big famous Super Smash Bros. Melee player. I guess he's really good, like he's one of the best of all time or something from what I was reading online. But anyways, well, recently Mang0 attended a party with a lot of big Twitch streamers and he got really drunk and he did some things which was all caught on camera because, everyone at the party was live streaming because it was a Twitch party. And since then, he got dropped by his sponsor, he got banned on Twitch, and all of his Twitch streamer friends, such as Ludwig, they're pretty much just throwing him under the bus, just trying to distance themselves from him, basically treating him like what he did is like monstrous, like he's some kind of monster now. And on top of that, every internet drama YouTuber and commentary YouTuber under the sun, they've all been making videos about this situation. But there's a big problem I've been noticing about all the coverage surrounding this situation. Even some commentators like Asmongold or this guy that goes by Sensitive Society, these are guys that usually seem to take the less woke position on any given issue, so to speak. But what I've noticed is that even people like this, it's pretty much everybody. Everybody is just taking it as a given that this Mang0 guy did something extremely wrong. Like he did something very wrong. And everybody just keeps repeating that he sexually harassed women. He sexually harassed women at this party live on stream and was caught on camera doing it. And then you watch the actual footage of what Mang0 did, and all he did was some pelvic thrusts in the background behind some chicks that were streaming. And I guess he humped his hat and he humped a cardboard cutout of himself. Oh, but there were women in the general vicinity when he did these things, so that means he's a predator. I really don't get it. In all the clips I've seen, it didn't even look like he's directing his pelvic thrusts at anybody. He's just doing it for the camera, just playing it up for laughs, trying to make people laugh. There is one clip where he was touching some girl's hair. I think it was the Twitch streamer known as Extra Emily. And I would say that is a low-level form of harassment. Not harassment, but just regular harassment. If you touch somebody without their consent, you shouldn't do that. But also, in this particular case, he did stop touching her hair and walk away as soon as his friend told him to. And if you watch the clip, it looks like he was just trying to flirt with her. So, it's not cool to just touch somebody's hair like that, but also, whatever. It's not really that big a deal. It's not a big deal at all. And doing pelvic thrusts at a party, that's like, it's a classic joke, it's a classic bit. That's just classic physical humor. That's not harassment. Most of the criticism I'm seeing on this situation, it's actually not directed at Mang0 himself. Most of the criticism is actually directed at Ludwig, because everybody hates Ludwig, including myself. I don't know if I'd say I hate him, but I don't really like him. He just seems like a very fake person. He acts kind of like a salesman. He's just very slimy, comes off as very self-serving and very clout-driven. So, yeah, I don't like the guy. And in this situation, he did totally try to throw his friend Mang0 under the bus, even though he himself, Ludwig, can be seen on stream actively encouraging Mang0 to continue drinking and continue acting wild, And not only Ludwig, basically everybody at the party was encouraging this guy to keep doing what he's doing. So, that's just another extra element that makes this whole situation so crazy. But yeah, I'm just saying, I totally understand why people are criticizing Ludwig, but I think what's happening is some people are so eager to criticize Ludwig that they end up inflicting collateral damage on Mang0 in the process just because that's what they have to do in order to make Ludwig look as bad as possible. So you have all these guys, these people you would usually expect to be critical of Ludwig, such as Asmongold or this drama YouTuber I mentioned before, Sensitive Society. These people are making videos on the situation, and like I say, they just take it as a given that Mang0 is guilty of some super egregious behavior. Talking about he sexually harassed women or he committed SA. And it makes sense, you know, if your biggest profit incentive is to diss on Ludwig for enabling his drunk friend, then it makes perfect sense in this situation that you would want to portray Mang0's actions as negatively as possible. Because what they're doing is they're trying to connect Ludwig to the controversy as much as they possibly can. So if you're profiting off of saying that Ludwig is responsible for something, then you're going to have more impact if you make it look like that's something that he's responsible for, that it's something that is a really big deal. I'm not saying that Ludwig holds no responsibility in this situation for encouraging his alcoholic friend to continue drinking past the point of already being wasted, because that is dangerous, and he should not have done that. And he should not have tried to distance himself from his friend after the situation and try to throw him under the bus. He shouldn't have done that. He's obviously a little weasel for the whole way he's been handling this situation. But can we please stop pretending that Mang0 actually did anything worth talking about? He was doing pelvic thrusts in the background of people's live streams. That is not harassment. It didn't even look like he's doing it at anybody. You know, he's not pelvic thrusting at anybody. He's just doing some pelvic thrusts, just humping the air for laughs in the background. And he humped a hat, his own hat, and he humped a cardboard cutout of himself. This stuff, this is really not a big deal. It's not. This is like basic drunk guy at a party being annoying behavior. You know, it's annoying drunk guy at a party behavior. That's all that this was. And you know, I understand why people would be uncomfortable with a guy that is acting like that at the party. He certainly is being annoying. He is being an annoying drunk. And I even understand why his sponsor would drop him over this. I understand that part even, because, you know, whoever his sponsor is, C9, it's some gaming clan or company, I don't really know, but, you know, that's some kind of corporation, right? So they are obviously, you know, they have shareholders and their profits are possibly very susceptible to ups and downs based on the mood of the general public, you know, things like that. It's a corporation. I understand why they would drop him at any hint of any kind of slight controversy, because that's how corporations are. So nothing surprises me about that, but it's just the way that every commentary channel, every single one that I have seen on this situation, they all just casually state that this Mang0 guy was harassing women or even committing SA on women. That's something that was heavily implied by this guy, Sensitive Society. But the reality of what Mang0 actually did is just so much more benign than the way everybody's trying to make it out to be. He was just acting like a drunk idiot at a party where everybody was getting drunk. Because, by the way, this was a Beerio Kart party. So basically, the idea of the party was they're going to play the new Mario Kart and everybody's going to get really drunk, right? That was the purpose of the party, was to drink. Beer-EO Kart. Beer is in the name of the event. So, you know, that's just another element of this thing. You can't get that mad at a guy that was acting like a drunk idiot at a party that the whole purpose of was to get drunk at and play video games. Where else can you act like a drunk idiot? And the thing is, in this situation, obviously, somebody acting like a drunk idiot, at times that can be like, depending on what you're doing, that might be really bad. A drunk idiot might get behind the wheel of a car and drive and go wreck. That's drunk idiot behavior, but it's also dangerous drunk idiot behavior. But in this situation, this Mang0 situation, he was not acting like a drunk idiot in a dangerous way, or not in a way that is dangerous to anybody else. He got really drunk himself. He blew like a .32 on the breathalyzer, so he was potentially in danger of alcohol poisoning, I believe, at that level of intoxication. But outside of that, he wasn't harassing anybody. He wasn't doing anything dangerous towards any other person. The only thing I would say is bordering on harassment is when he touched the one girl's hair, which is not cool, but also it's not really a big deal. And, like I said, he's clearly was trying to flirt with her. So I just can't see it as that big a deal. And he did stop when he was told to stop. So, you can't really criticize him that much on that one. But yeah, I do understand being touched without your consent in any way, nobody likes it. There was one time in my life that a man grabbed my arm without my consent in the subway station, which did really piss me off. And this guy was like a semi-famous politician. I've told this story before on my channel, but basically, yeah, he wanted to shake my hand because he was trying to shake everybody's hand. I just kind of looked him in the eye and walked past him because I don't want to shake hands with a politician that, I don't really know that much about him, so I don't want to endorse him in any way. He got a look on his face like he was mad that I didn't want to shake his hand. He grabbed my arm and gave me a weird fake look of concern. And yeah, I didn't like it. But the reason I'm saying this now, somebody just touching you without your consent isn't necessarily illegal in any way. It's not necessarily some kind of crime. This guy grabbed my arm, but I don't think it wasn't like an assault, and I didn't feel like he caused me any actual damage or anything. And I'm pretty sure the girl, Extra Emily, who had her hair touched by C9 Mang0, he inflicted no damage with that, right? It didn't cause any damage, didn't cause any trauma, and it wouldn't. It never could be the case that something like what he did would do that. So again, that's the most egregious thing he did in all the clips you can find from this party, was touching this girl's hair. And it's not a big deal. So I know that it's convenient to act like Mang0 just went on a tear and just committed great atrocities, since that would help add to the narrative that Ludwig really messed up. And we all love to hate on Ludwig, and I don't blame you. But to all these drama commentary YouTubers out there like Sensitive Society, think about what you're doing. You're just casually implying that this Mang0 guy committed SA, or harassment against women, when the reality of the situation is just so much more tame than what you are making it out to be. You want to criticize Ludwig for throwing his friend under the bus, which is fair, but what you're doing isn't much better. You're spreading it around that this Mang0 guy is a harassment committer, which very well may be your assessment of the situation, but please at least try to make it clear in your coverage what the guy actually did. The reason I'm specifically calling out this Sensitive Society guy is because his video was the first one I watched about the situation, and after I watched it, I just assumed that this Mang0 character must have done something so bad that it couldn't even be shown in the video, because the Sensitive Society video didn't show him doing anything other than some pelvic thrusts in the background. And then I looked into it, and I found out that that's the whole thing. That's all he did. But the way this Sensitive Society guy was talking about it, I thought he must have groped somebody or something. Did an actual essay. doing pelvic thrusts near somebody, it's like that's about on the same level as winking at somebody. Like it could be considered suggestive, and maybe in some cases, sure, I can see how it could be a harassment of sorts if it was intended in that manner. But with this Mang0 situation, that's just not what it was. That's not what it looks like to me. Some of y'all just seriously need to calm down and think about this drama slop that you're always pumping out, because it looks a lot like you are leveling very severe criticisms, very severe accusations against a guy that, at worst, was being annoying at a party, okay? And you're trying to make it sound like he was not just being annoying, you're making it sound like he was doing something bordering on criminal behavior or something like that. Okay? And he wasn't. He was acting a bit uncouth. He was acting a bit rude, perhaps. A bit, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. He did pelvic thrusts behind people on a live stream. I guarantee, if it was an all-male party and this guy did all the same stuff, he would not have been canceled. Literally nobody would care. Nobody would care at all. Nobody would be talking about this because it's just a guy doing pelvic thrusts in the background. Classic bit. Classic. It's a classic bit. It's just a joke. This is a joke, folks. He's trying to be funny. Okay? And he was trying to flirt with girls. Perhaps he was trying to flirt with some of these girls that he was pelvic thrusting in the general vicinity of. But it didn't look like he was directing it at anybody. It didn't look like he meant... Seriously, as a society, we gotta stop trying to elevate everything to the most extreme version of what it could have possibly been. Because in this situation, acting like this guy did some kind of crime or some kind of essay, some kind of harassment, it really is ridiculous. We are letting the Overton window just slide all the way out of control when it comes to what we consider acceptable behavior in our society. Because look, people, context matters. This wasn't just a guy running up to people with his shirt off in the produce aisle at the grocery store doing pelvic thrusts, okay? Because that would be very strange behavior. This is a guy at a party where everybody's getting crazy drunk, because that's the purpose of the party, and he's there with a bunch of his friends, and they're all semi-famous internet celebrity Twitch streamers. Everybody's live streaming. There's like 1,000 cameras all over this place doing different live streams. And this guy, he's a internet celebrity, right? He's a performer. They're all performers. Obviously, he's going to try and get up to some antics, some crazy drunk antics at the party. He's going to try and be funny in some other people's live streams. Let's siphon some more viewers over to himself. Everything about the way the guy was acting is all stuff that is incentivized by the culture of Twitch and streaming and being a professional gamer and all that. It's all incentivized. And nobody at the party in any of the clips seems to have any problem with the way he's acting. It was only after the fact that some viewers, some idiot white knight simps started to be like, oh my goodness, he's doing pelvic thrusts around my waifu. That's my future wife. How could he pelvic thrust near her? Oh no, call the police. And then, what these people always do, they raise a big enough stink until they can bully some other, Twitch streamer thoughts into saying something to their audience like, you know what? I think it was wrong. I think it was really wrong how he was acting. And then, they reach out to the sponsor like, you can't let this man play Super Smash Brothers You can't let this man play GameCube for money anymore? How dare you let this man play GameCube for money after he did pelvic thrusts at a party? GameCube is serious business. You can't just let anybody play GameCube for money. If you're going to play GameCube for money, if you're going to be a professional GameCube player, then you better not be misbehaving. This is GameCube we're talking about, okay? This is Melee. If we were talking about playing Nintendo Switch or some itty-bitty kitty games like that for money, then I could understand this uncouth behavior. Folks, this is Super Smash Bros. Melee on the Nintendo GameCube we're talking about, okay? This is a gentleman's sport. As a professional athlete in the GameCube realm, you've got to act like a professional, okay? You can't be doing pelvic thrusts here and there. You can't be touching girls' hair. In fact, you've got to be celibate, really. The only way is you got to be celibate. You can't be just trying to interact with, what are you trying to have relations with a woman? This is GameCube, folks. He is a professional GameCube player. This is serious business, okay? This man can't be out philandering and making an ass of himself at public gatherings. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The sponsor. Where are the sponsors? They need to drop this man. This man needs to be dropped from any sponsorship deal he's ever had. They need to drop him, and they all need to release apologies. Frankly, I can't believe the Nintendo Corporation allowed this philanderer, this harassment committer, to just go around acting so immature and drinking alcohol. I mean, I can't believe any of this was allowed. Folks, he's a GameCube player. There's a certain professional standard I think we all can fairly expect, should be able to expect of our professional GameCube players. Okay, whatever. This bit's gone on long enough. But, I think I've made my point. The guy is a professional video game player. He plays freaking GameCube for a living. And I guess he's really good at it. So, that is cool. But it's like, okay, let's not expect the guy to be like on better behavior at all times than a damn stockbroker or like your pediatrician or something, whatever it is. Like he's a professional video game player, GameCube even. He professionally plays a video game that's like 20 years old. Okay. And he didn't even do anything wrong. Okay. Mang0 did not do anything wrong. C9 Mang0, if that's what you want to call him, did not do anything wrong. Okay. Free Mang0.